नमस्कार.
जी नमस्कार.
I am talking to Dr. Karan Singh Chauhan, critic and writer. We are discussing about Joshimath crisis. We have already discussed 2 episodes. So please continue as further you want to say.
Okay. So this is for the benefit of those friends who probably don't know Hindi, and they wanted to know what we are talking about. So friends, we were talking about a natural calamity, I should say, which happened in Himalayas. There is a small township named Joshimath in Himalayas. And some cracks on the roads in the houses appeared, big cracks appeared. And the houses and buildings were in danger. So people were evacuated from there, and a crisis situation kind of arose there. So a lot of coverage in the Indian media about it. So we were discussing this issue. So we thought it fit that instead of discussing the actual situation, because whole media is discussing it, the newspapers are discussing it and blaming each other. Political parties are issuing statements regarding this event or say calamity and blaming each other as usual they do in such a situation. So we thought it fit that we should go deep into the real reasons of such happenings, such calamities, which occur not only in India, in Himalayas, but it can occur anywhere in the world. And it is happening at regular intervals, and people are shouting about it that something should be done about it. So we thought that instead of discussing it emotionally, we should be rational about it. What are the causes of such happenings? There are some natural causes which we can't do much about, because there are some processes inside the nature taking place regularly and culminating into some natural calamities like the floods. Although floods have some contribution of man-made things, but some such events are purely because of natural processes, like the earthquakes. So you can't do anything about it, and there is not much contribution of humankind behind it. So first thing is to determine whether these calamities are happening because of the natural processes or because of the human doings. We can talk and we can discuss only those things which are man-made, in which the human contribution is quite high. So we can discuss only those. As far as the natural calamities which are naturally happening, we can only discuss things, what precautions were taken by the administration and the government about it, how much they are doing to salvage the situation or protecting the lives of the people. resettling them, and such things. But those are minor things we can discuss. Here we are concerned about the man-made crisis. Man-made crisis. And the situation in Joshimath, all the people are talking about is that it is purely man-made crisis. The roads are, on the Himalayas, there are roads are, they are building roads. They are digging the mountains to have trains. So they are saying that it is purely man-made and blaming it on the government of the day or the administration of the day. And it is not because of one decade or several decades. It is happening for the last so many decades or centuries when this natural process is revolted against it, and they are happening at regular intervals. So we were discussing this situation. Then came the question that is some model of development which we have chosen in the modern times is responsible for this, because all over the world we see that we are following a particular model of development, economic development all over the world. And we are following it. And who is responsible for that? And that model which the whole world, which we call the developed world, selected or chosen, is the ideal model which all other countries are following. This model which advanced countries adopted long time back after the, we say, Renaissance, after the Industrial Revolution, they got certain scientific developments and other developments through which they acquired some knowledge and they acquired some technique so that they can move out and control other lands or countries and their resources to utilize, exploit the natural resources of those countries for their own benefit. And we were discussing how colonization and imperialism came into being through this model. The model they adopted of economic development ultimately culminated into subjugating other nations and exploiting their natural resources for their own development, own benefit. So that's one thing. And these nations later, when they became even independent, fought against these forces and got independence. Even after independence, they adopted the same model of economic development for their own country, which was ruling over them, because they thought to solve the situations, the situation in their countries, this is the best model for them. We were discussing these things. And there the name of some people from all over the world, and particularly in our country, came. Like there have been people in other countries who advocated that man should live simple. Man should live in harmony with nature. Man should not exploit the natural resources for their greed, and they should only take whatever they needed. like Tolstoy, like in America, Thoreau,
Thoreau.
who advocated Thoreau, the writer of the Walden. So they advocated a new path for the humankind. In our country, Gandhiji advocated that kind of path. In front of he criticized the advanced countries, he criticized the industrialized nations, advanced nations, and he said that they are on the wrong path. They are exploiting the nature for their greed. They are not only exploiting the nature, they are exploiting the humankind for their greed. And that's how their path of development is defective. Rather, he used very strong words for that, and he said, if we want to save the humankind, if we want to save this mother nature, if we want to save all other species on this earth, we have to take a different path. And there he advocated, he gave certain slogans. He gave certain theoretical framework for that. And some of those concepts I should name was Satya. Satya is truthfulness. A man should be truthful to himself and to others and to everything else. Another was ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. Whatever the provocation, we should never adopt or violent methods to deal with that, because violence arouses more violence. So that's how he criticized those systems who advocated that the power comes out of a barrel of a gun. So that kind of systems based on the violent overthrow of the previous rulings, he criticized. He said no. They can't do any good to the humankind or to their own society or their country if their whole system is based on violent methods. So whatever the provocation, but we should not leave the non-violence at any cost. That was his. Another thing was the means and the end. Means people are saying that if your end or if your goal is good, then whatever means you adopt doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if your goals or aims or end is well-meaning or good. If you want to free mankind from subjugation, exploitation, and inhuman situations, then whatever means violent means you adopt, it's okay. It's okay. They should be adopted. Gandhi was totally against this duality or this demarcation between means and end. He said, if your aim is good, if your aim is holy, or if your aim is for the benefit of humankind or whatever kind, then you have to adopt the same kind of means also. There is you can't adopt any other means which are not in line with your aims. So these are, or then he said that for the needs of the humankind, this Mother Earth or nature has enough to provide for the needs of everyone. But it can't provide for the greed of the humankind. and what this new civilization based on the development model of the developed countries of the world, this is only greed. You are not using the resources of the nature or Mother Earth for your need. You are using them for your luxuries. So they are not enough. Then the Mother Nature can't provide it. And that's why you go on exploiting the Mother Nature, exploiting the nature more and more and more. And ultimately, it is culminated into these natural calamities. So this was his thinking, and he wanted to take a separate path after independence. He advocated for the people of India that we should not fall prey to the path which is devilish and which is not in the interest of humankind. We should take a separate path, and simple living and high thinking should be adopted for our lives. So we discussed this point also, whether this kind of advocacy of a person was practical, adaptable. Other human beings could adopt such a thinking. The first question was this. Because a person can be pure, a person can be achieved through his thinking or through other methods, such a position that he could achieve total truthfulness, means and ends and all these things. But not everyone is able to adopt that kind of. You cannot expect every common human being to be Gandhi and adopt all those thinking or path which Gandhi advocated. The first question was that whether it was practical for everyone to adopt Gandhi's path. Second question we discussed was whether, suppose we adopted it, suppose we accept.
In your second question, in your second question, you should add what well-read reader Vinod Kumar Dubey ji has said something in his comment, and you have already read that on YouTube comments box. So please you reply also.
The second question we raised about Gandhi was that everything was good. Whatever he was thinking, whatever he was preaching, whatever he was showing to the humankind, okay, very, very good. But could it solve the problems of the society or the country, which is growing, means like the population of the country was growing so fast that its needs and its all the things were expanding. So through the old autonomous agricultural methods or village society, could we meet the needs of our country, of our people, by adopting Gandhi's methods? So second question was this, which we were discussing in this. We didn't finish it, but we raised two questions about it. That saying all these things seems very good. So, but are they adaptable by the common people? Means ultimately you can't bring gods to implement those or to accept those. Ultimately, the common people should accept those and live their lives, practical lives, according to those theories, according to those concepts. So first question was whether they were really adaptable by the common people of India. And second was, suppose we adopted those, whether our problems would have been solved by all those methods, all those concepts. So these were very important things which we raised in our talks. And ultimately, we see that world is not, you cannot live in isolation because it's a global village kind of thing. Everybody is connected with everybody else in this world. It is not possible like old times that you can become an island in itself. A country can become an island in itself and survive. So whole world is following a different kind of economic development based on science and technology. And you want to adopt a certain kind of spiritual life in one country. So you want to have a separate island in itself, divide from any connection with the whole world. Is it possible in today's world? Because old times we see that countries, although having some relations or some links with other countries, but that was not necessary. There were countries which were living separately, adopting their own paths. But today, in a globalized world, is it possible for a country to have a separate path from everyone else? Socialist system to some extent tried to do this. Try to do this means we know the term Iron Curtain. Iron Curtain means what? Iron Curtain means separating itself, its system, its people, its society, and its development from the developed world, the so-called developed world, the so-called capitalist world, the so-called imperialist world, and have its own system in their own countries, in their own society. They tried to do it, but ultimately failed. Ultimately failed. They couldn't keep themselves in isolation from all other countries, all other systems. And ultimately it collapsed. It collapsed in front of the globalized world. So to say that adopting Gandhi's path in our country could have saved us from this devastating, the so-called devastating model or industrialization process, or what we see today, that big roads, big dams, railway lines and airlines, everything is developing at a fast stage. So Gandhi, if Gandhi was today, he would say that it's not the need of the human being, it's the greed of the human being for which they are destroying everything else. So during the course of discussion, we discussed all these points in our two talks on Joshimath crisis. And we wanted to come to the final conclusions about it, that how to avoid such situations, how to avoid such calamity. Can we avoid such calamities? So we could, in the final discussion, we could draw certain conclusions from our discussion. Okay, are these calamities avoidable at all? in this developing world? Can we stop our development work because it is affecting adversely the natural processes and the nature behave in a violent way if we go on doing this? So these were the things left for our final discussion and decisions, come to some conclusions. What should be done? What should we say about it? Because if we take the data, of natural calamities and other happenings, means in the old times, we go back, say, 100 years. And we find the data that millions of people used to be killed or suffered due to these natural calamities and other happenings in those times. And the people were so helpless in front of these calamities, they couldn't do much about it. The malaria was there, the smallpox was there, and millions of people used to die in these things, in other calamities. But today, if you take the facts and figures of deaths and losses of human life in today's calamity, we'll find lot of improvement. And this improvement comes from the technology, scientific development. Like last 3 years, we were facing COVID and epidemic. And it was such a great crisis facing all the world, facing the humankind. If it was old times, millions and millions people would have been killed and felt helpless in front of such a great epidemic. But today, initially, we were perplexed, we were helpless, but immediately the science, the knowledge of the humankind, the scientific knowledge, the technology, and the development came to its rescue, and they tried to overpower this epidemic. And ultimately won the war against it. So we are seeing that due to this technological development, scientific development, and development in all kinds of knowledge spheres, the human is not feeling that kind of helpless against the natural calamities and epidemics as they used to be in the old times. So we should take all these facts into account. Simply not emotionally charged that human creation, human development, this model is causing great harm, doing great harm to the people and to the society and to the nation. It seems like that, but we should consider some of the basic facts also. Of course, I'm not advocating that whatever this development model is doing and adopting is all good. But
the question is, you took so many steps learned by the world, and you adopt and just you act. But why not to survive? Why not to save? Why not to take into different account survive for long time? When you just take some lessons and you made that, but you don't have nature of surviving that, saving that. That's also a question. dam or river or so many things happening in progress field, but you don't have an idea really to protect, to keep safe. That's also a big question.
No, no. I said during our discussion that in the initial stages of development, people overdo things. People overdo things in exploiting the nature. They want to have everything very quickly, and having everything so quickly, they forget that they are doing some harm to the nature also, to the environment also, to other non-human being species also. They are doing harm to them. So in the initial stages, most of these developing countries, because there are three kind of countries in the world we categorize. One is the developed, one is the developing, and one is the underdeveloped. So underdeveloped and developing countries in their run for development, they try to overdo things and quickly in which they destroy natural resources and other such things. But ultimately, when you start developing, come to that category, you think protecting the natural resources, you think protecting the non-human species, you think about protecting the nature and beautifying your own world, own atmosphere. So these things come at a later stage, which we are not presently. Presently, we are not concerned about what we are destroying. We are concerned about how we should achieve our things quickly. Means our luxuries and other living things very quickly. So in this, maybe we overdo it and we do some harm. But this should be this should be seen in a perspective, not emotionally, not emotionally. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So we should keep all the things, what harm we are doing in our course of development to the nature and to other things. And if it is possible in this stage also, can we amend our ways? Can we learn some lessons so less harm is done to our environment? So these can be thought of. They can be thought of. But I told you that talking is good. Talking is all right. Everybody can talk about it, about good things. But at a practical level, everyone wants the facilities quickly in their own lives, as quickly as possible. I told you, when we go to the mountains and the roads go in round and round and in circles, it takes 10 hours to reach a place. Then if there are some train going underneath the mountains and reach there in few hours, we would all like it. We would all like it. And we will forget that it destroy the environment and the nature. So we want quickly the luxuries of life, but we don't see that it can cause harm to our environment and nature. So this kind of thing also we should think what we are saying and what we are aspiring and what we are doing. So there is no connection between all these three. We are the doer, we are the sufferer. both we are doing it and we are suffering from it. So we should think in those terms also.
We have short time, so short question also you just take. Unless the common people, masses cost his life. The person who is system, the person are powerful, they are not cost their life.
Means
So,
what?
unless the common people actually give their lives, lost their lives, not the systemer, not the powerful person who lives very closer to the crisis spot. So what is your last response in very short?
Naturally, the the powerful do not suffer that much as the poor people suffer, the common masses suffer ultimately, because they live in with the nature. Their whole livelihood is with the nature. Either they are in villages or they are in cities. So they are sufferers. Always the haves or the in the upper strata of the society or the system, they escape all these things. That's everyone knows about it.
Thank you for talking with Lahak Digital. If you want to say something, please you go ahead.
No, that's this was for our some friends who couldn't follow our last two discussions, and they raised the questions that how do we know what you are talking about? This was for the benefit of those. We are not saying anything new today. We are simply transcribing or translating what we, in short, what we discussed in our last two discussions on this natural crisis and natural calamity and epidemics. And in this, we talked about Gandhi's alternative way of thinking, and he wanted to take humankind away from these situations, and he wanted to show a different kind of path to the mankind. But I said that we were not ready to accept his advice. We were not ready to accept his path, and we found that it is an hindrance to the development of the society. And how